Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Books, coming to you today with horrendous allergies. My apologies for the delay in this video, and I hope you can understand my very nasally voice today. Welcome back, belatedly, to our continuing discussion of Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. Today, I want to talk about what is sometimes referred to as Books 4 and 5, and sometimes referred to as Volume 2, Parts 1 and 2. As I was reading the chapters, all I could think is that this long book is totally a soap opera. And then I read a comment from Garth Greenwald, quoted in Yu and Lee's Tolstoy Together, calling War and Peace a hetero melodrama. Perfect. Over the last few weeks, we've seen that both arguments and war imagery totally invade the peace sections, and what happens on the actual battlefields often feels like drawing room one-upmanship. This week, things got even more entangled. Violence and death seem to be even more present here in these peace scenes than we've seen before. I'll try to recap the story here for a second. I'm afraid I keep getting Denisov and Dolokhov mixed up. Feel free to roll your eyes and correct me in the comments if I screw them up here. What feels to me like our three main male characters each have a turn in this section. First, Nikolai Rostov returns to his home and to his family that are eager to see him. His sister Natasha, the glittering young lead female character, is now 15 and says she's no longer interested in marrying Boris, the young man she flirted with at her name day party back in Book 1. And Nikolai is reminded of his promise to marry his 16-year-old cousin Sonia, but he's a little too busy playing the eligible bachelor in town to give her much attention. We also see Pevear, who seems pretty unhappy, perhaps because of the rumors that his beautiful wife has been having affairs. When the Russian officer Dolokhov, I think, makes a toast to all the beautiful women, Pevear assumes Dolokhov is insulting him, so he challenges him to a duel, where he wounds the man severely, and he thinks he's killed him, but he hasn't. Helene tells Pevear that he's being an idiot, and he totally deserves her comment, even if they were having an affair. The two agree to separate. And then our third man is Andrei. His father, Prince Volokhonsky, thinks Andrei has died on the battlefield. Andrei's sister Maria is distraught, and then Andrei's pregnant wife, Louise, goes into labor. Suddenly, Andrei arrives back home, alive, and Louise delivers a baby boy, but then dies in childbirth. This is a heartbreaking scene, a moment when life and death is so intensely important. The life of a new child, and the death of a young mother, and the seeming rebirth of a son believed to be lost in war. Meanwhile, Dolokhov is healing from his dueling wounds. Everyone seems to love him, except Natasha. She is not taken in by him at all. He becomes interested in Sonia, the cousin Nikolai has been ignoring, and proposes to her. She refuses, saying she still loves Nikolai like a brother and is satisfied with that arrangement. Then, as this heteromelodrama continues, Denisov, is that right, falls for Natasha, and she rejects him. In Book 5, or 2.2 if you prefer, Pierre sort of goes off the deep end. He gets taken in by the Freemasons and starts what is basically a spiritual search, renouncing his atheism and vowing to love death as a way for humans to escape the woes of life. He becomes a reformer, too, or at least he thinks he does. Most of the serfs he's trying to help seem to be more miserable than ever after his supposed assistance. This theme is one I'm guessing will recur. The trying to do good is something to be quite suspicious about. Rarely is it actually doing good. Meanwhile, Andrei decides to quit active military service. Partly he's become quite disillusioned by the possibilities of heroism in war, and partly he wants to spend all his time caring for his ill son after the death of his wife. Basically, he now realizes that his son is the one good thing in his life. So, basically, we've seen our main men become disillusioned with war in the previous chapters and disillusioned with marriage in these chapters. Pevear deals with his pain by turning to intense religiosity. He seems to be looking for a clear distinction between good and bad. What he tries to explain to Andre is that doing good for others is the only source of happiness. And Andre points out that men are always wrong about what they think is good and what they think is bad. Living for others, he said, is a source of evil. In the first section of War and Peace, we saw more comparison between Nicolay and Andre, but now we see it between Andre and Pevear. Basically, Andre is a thinker who often refrains from acting, and Pevear is a doer who often refrains from thinking. And the question I think Tolstoy asks us to consider is, who causes more harm to others? Okay, I'm off to make myself yet another cup of steaming hot tea to drink as I blow my nose all afternoon. I look forward to seeing you soon here on Hannah's Books.